Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For all the book lovers or book curious out there, thank you so much for coming back to Paul's Bookshelf, and really excited about today's video because it's a book that I really want to talk about because, to be honest, I'm kind of on the fence about it. So if you can help in any way, I would really appreciate that. A quick background, if this is the first video of mine that you've watched, I really have never let myself get into fiction. I've always kind of felt like if I'm going to take time to read, it needs to be something for my professional development or something, and never let myself have the permission to just enjoy a novel. And so one of my goals this year was to dive into fiction and let myself enjoy just some good stories and novels. And so with that, in exploring other booktubers and Bookstagram and all of those different outlets, came across a series that I'd never heard of, even though the first book came out when I was in high school. And that is The Wheel of Time. And so I kind of had that on my radar. And then I happened to go to a thrift store where I found 3 of the books, I believe, for 60 cents each at a thrift store, and figured, hey, even if I hate them, 60 cents each, can't beat that. I hear so much hype about the series, got to give it a try. So I did, and I picked up, the first book was one of them. I picked it up to read it, and didn't get more than a few pages, and didn't quite feel like it was for me. And so I set it aside and pulled it back out and read a few more pages and was kind of But this time, I recently had COVID and figured, well, can't do a whole lot else. So if I can be awake and I don't have a piercing headache, I will give the first book in the Wheel of Time series, The Eye of the World, a go. And if you're the only other person besides me who is unfamiliar with Wheel of Time, what we have in The Eye of the World is a small group of people who are forced to go on a quest. And I won't give the specifics of why and all of that. And so, even saying that, I know that this isn't going to come as any breaking news or any breaking insight. Even just mentioning that should ring a bell. Now, I'll admit I'm not a huge fantasy fan, although I adore The Lord of the Rings. And Dune, I know there's debate. Do you put it as sci-fi or fantasy? I love those series, so I'm not overly a huge fantasy fan to begin with. I'm a huge fan of Stephen King books, but decided I was going to stick with this one. And around page 50 or 60, I believe, is the first real action sequence. And I was like, yes, okay, finally, we're into it. Because really everything leading up to that was, I had to almost keep checking the cover because it really felt like I was rereading The Fellowship of the Ring. Nothing wrong with that. I love that book, but if I'm going to read Fellowship of the Ring, I'd rather just read Fellowship of the Ring. So I'm reading this, and we get the first action sequence, and suddenly I'm engaged. And as, again, you'll find with other reviewers, then that action stops, and we go into this lull where we are building the characters, building the world, and I appreciate that. But I just really felt like from beginning to end, I guess the bottom line, the pacing was really tough for me because you went through these long spells without any real engaging action, and just, let me backtrack. My biggest complaint with the book, this will help fill in the gaps. I get that it's based on The Fellowship of the Ring. It's kind of inspired by Fellowship of the Ring, but Robert Jordan gives some nice twists. He kind of launches off from that and makes it his own. I appreciate that, so I don't hold that against the book. The pacing was an issue for me, but the major complaint I had was that by the time I finished with 782 pages, I have to be honest, I didn't care about a single one of the characters. As a collective group, obviously I want to see them succeed. I don't want the villain, the evil one, to to be victorious. But individually, I didn't really care about any of them. Moraine, who's the what's called an Aes Sedai, kind of the Gandalf type figure, she was probably the most intriguing character to me. The others I just didn't really care about. And that made it tough. So when you have these long stretches where it's really just exploring the characters, I was really hoping that in these long stretches, I would start to have some kind of affinity for the characters or some connection to any of them. And I really didn't. So there's Rand, Matt, and Perrin. 3 guys, teenagers, late teenagers. Didn't overly care about any one of them. They are all 3 flawed in different ways, and I appreciate that. And then you have Moraine, who's the kind of the wizard Gandalf figure, and her, I don't want to say bodyguard, because she doesn't really need a bodyguard. She can fend for herself. But her warder, Lan, he's pretty cool. So the 2 of them kind of got into the 2 of them. They're pretty cool characters. And then we have Nynaeve, who's not quite at the level of Moraine. She's not quite like the wizard type, but she can do some stuff. And then there's Egwene, who is the pseudo love interest of Rand, and we kind of develop her character. But again, I didn't really care at any point. Any one of them could have died, and I wouldn't have really cared. There's a character named Tom, who's kind of an entertainer, storyteller. He was pretty decent. But again, we could have seen characters die, and it wouldn't have fazed me that much. So that's my biggest complaint, is especially for these long sections where you have this exposition and this character development. And I just have to say, in terms of characters, you're going to get character after character after character. There are so many characters, so many unique characters. There is such an expansive world established here, and which actually kind of leads me to another complaint. As they go on this quest, they stop at different villages to eat, to rest, and whatnot. And there's several of these villages that kind of feel exactly the same. There wasn't really any variety to them. So that may have been intentional. I don't know. But so I do appreciate how he took essentially the framework for the Fellowship of the Ring. He took that, built on it, and kind of launched out to his own thing. Really appreciate that. I do appreciate the expansiveness. And I'm assuming that this is what, if you include the prequel, it's a 15-book series, that there's so much more to learn about the world. There's so much more to learn about the characters. And I really hope so. Because again, I just didn't care about any of them. And I do have another 60-cent one was book 2, The Great Hunt. So I am definitely diving into that one before too long. Taking a break. Starting the Dark Tower series right now. Going to read The Gunslinger. October, I want to read it. And then maybe November or December, I'll get to The Great Hunt. But this is where I need your help, because this is one of the first books this year. I don't know how to rate it. Because if I'm to be honest, when I hit about, once I hit about the 3/4 mark of the book, I wanted to keep reading, not because I was eager to see what happens, but because I just kind of wanted to check this one off so I can move on to the next. And yeah, it was kind of losing me. So I'm asking for your help. If you are a Wheel of Time fan, don't spoil the rest of the series for me, but share with me down below in the comments. What do you like about it? What do you love about it? Will it build and get me on board as the series continues? Does the pacing get better? Do the characters get more intriguing? Or maybe you say, dude, if you don't care about any of the characters by now, you're probably not going to. Give me your insight. I know there is a huge fan base of the Wheel of Time, and I was really kind of motivated because I saw the trailer for the Amazon series coming out in November, and it looked really good. So gave it a go. I liked it. Yeah, I don't want to miscommunicate. I liked it. Not as good as I was hoping it would be. There's a lot of things I appreciated about it. There were some major things, like I said, that just didn't stick with me. Namely, not caring about the characters was kind of a big deal. So if you're a fan of the series, let me know. Even if it's just an encouragement saying, hang in there, the next few books will get you on board. So yeah, I'm looking forward to book 2. I noticed that it's slightly bigger, if I'm noticing that right. Yeah, so let me know. What do you love about it? I've tried to watch a lot of different perspectives on it to kind of help me process my thoughts. So if you love the series, especially if you love Eye of the World, let me know why. Maybe there's some things I missed, some things I overlooked. Again, I've tried to watch a lot of people's takes on this or explanations of it, and I know there's so much. There's so much just laid out in this book that is never defined, and I'm sure it's going to be defined over the course of the next 14 books. So I get that, and I do enjoy that. I don't like necessarily being told everything in book 1. I want to discover things as I go. So yeah, those are my rambling, weird thoughts about the Eye of the World. So yeah, if you're a fan, help me out. The ending was kind of rushed too. A little side note. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you say, hey, book 3, it's really going to come together for you. I need that. I would appreciate that. Because while I'm looking forward to continuing the series, every time I go to pick up book 2, I'm going to want to reach for that Stephen King book. So help motivate me to go ahead and pick this up in November and continue on with the series. So appreciate it. Again, if you're new, like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. Help me out. Help convince me that this is going to become one of my favorite series. So appreciate your help. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.